think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
It's a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with Matt on the Deering Acting Studio podcast. I am Matthew Deering here with Joey Sweeney. This week, we are going to be going through a series on patience. Today's episode is Prepare for the Storm. There are going to be storms in life, and we want to be prepared for those storms. So we're going to start off with a little daily devotional, as per the usual. And this one will require my glasses.
All right. Yeah, it's a little bit of a longer one. I like it.
Most definitely going to require the old glasses here. All right, here we go. I've got Hebrews 11:7. By faith, Noah, being warned by God about things not yet seen, in reverence prepared an ark for the salvation of his household, by which he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness which is according to faith. Boom. So the most important part of this, as it relates to what we're going to talk about today, is number one, by faith, Noah being warned by God of things not yet seen. So my take on this is, when we say prepare for a storm, I think the first thing we ought to do is to establish, to identify, to define what is a storm. Joey?
Yeah.
I venture to say that a storm could be both good and bad.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Arizonans love storms.
That's right.
We beg for them, especially in the summer during monsoon season.
If anybody is going through a drought of some kind, a storm is a blessing.
Yeah.
Storm is a very good thing.
Absolutely.
If you have a way to harness a storm and collect the water to be used for future, or to collect the wind to be used for energy.
Yeah.
If you have a way to harness the storm is good.
Yeah.
If you prepare for the storm is a good thing.
Yep.
However, if you have not prepared for the storm can be devastating.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming. The storm can literally wipe you out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, by identifying the fact that storms can be good and bad, that's a good thing, because we don't want to always be thinking to ourselves like, oh, we're so worried all the time. Because the truth is, in our lives, we're always approaching a storm and leaving a storm, just pretty much at all times. We have to understand that, know that. So by knowing it, we can take the unknown away and cease to be scared.
Yeah. For sure.
At that point.
It's I said it in the description on YouTube, but it's inevitable that we're going to have highs and lows. We're going to go through trials, we're going to go through tribulations, we're going to go through good times, bad times. That's inevitable. It's going to happen for each and every one of us as we spend time on this earth. So then the whole idea, my interpretation when you gave me this topic was like preparing for the storm. That's preparing for the lows, preparing for the times where you know you're going to fall at some point. You know you're going to go through a struggle. And then it's how you deal with that. If you prepare for it, if you know it's coming, if you choose not to deny that truth, that fact, then you're able to set yourself up to navigate the storm, right? Like you've talked about a tons of times with the boats, and the captain has to be so calm during the storm to navigate through it. So if you put yourself in a place to succeed like that, then the storms become a blessing for you because you're learning at a higher level through your trials, and it makes you a better human being at the end of the storm if you're ready for it.
So as a captain, when I say you got to be calm in the storm, how does a captain achieve that? What is the only way to achieve being calm in a storm?
Trusting that you'll get to the end.
How do you gain the trust?
You gain the trust by understanding the power of the
How
force
do you
you're
understand
against.
the force?
You respect it
How do you find the respect?
by diving right into it, understanding the,
How do you gain the understanding?
I don't know.
I think you do. I think you know. How do you gain understanding in anything?
Experience?
There you go. Experience. Practice. So to be calm in the storm, you've got to practice being in storms. You've got to go attack the wind. When you see wind that's a little out of your control, not a lot, but a little bit, you got to go seek that. You got to go, oh, hey, there's a windstorm, a tiny one. Let me go practice on that. And I may crash my tiny boat 3, 4, 5, 6 times when I'm not going to die and I'm not going to put other people's lives at danger. And I'll be close enough to the shore that I can get back. But rather than hiding when I see the small storms coming, I'm going to go attack them. I'm going to go
Head first, yeah.
and practice. You got to practice. You got to prepare. If you're not prepared, when the storm comes, you're not able to utilize it.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying when yes, there are going to be the storms in life that are overwhelming, that are negative. And this is kind of like the randoms where a loved one dies or there's an illness that comes about you. And there are randoms in life that happen. But there's also these storms that truthfully can be devastating, even though they would have been good had you been prepared.
It's a good point.
So let me explain. We've got Noah here, right? He's preparing for what? The flood.
Yeah.
The flood of the earth. Now, a flood, let's just say you got a flood, you're any company, and you get a flood of new customers, a flood of like all these people, all of a sudden, everybody wants to use your service. Probably, if the flood is big enough, let's just say it's 1,000 times what you're used to, you will not be prepared for that kind of a storm. Though it's a good storm, that storm could actually end you. Weirdly, it's good, and it could be so much good that it ends you.
Yep.
And then what happens is in that moment, how would it end you? Well, if you're not prepared, you haven't thought it through, you don't have any kind of a plan, you'll be tempted to take shortcuts, be tempted to take the easy, quick money, be tempted to do whatever it takes to service these people and lose your core business in the process.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have a weird tie here, but Brian and I watch Shark Tank a lot, right?
Dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun tsh, dun dun tsh.
And on there, it's exactly what you're talking about right here, which is, it's interesting because I watch the show and I go, man, if I'm one of those entrepreneurs, one of the first things I would do before I actually made my appearance on the show is to expect 1 million orders.
Yeah.
You might not get that many, but I want to have that much ready, like boxed up, because as soon as you go live, whether you get a deal or not, and they talk about this all the time, but they get all these orders because it's on TV.
It's advertising.
And people are like, "Oh, dang, that's cool. I need that. Like
Sure.
that solves a problem in my life." So I'm like, if I'm one of those entrepreneurs walking on, whether I get a deal or don't, I want to be ready for that. And it's exactly this concept here, because if you're not, then like you said, 1 million people order your product after you air on Shark Tank, and I don't have that much inventory.
Right.
You know, and your business goes down.
100p. 100p. All right, so we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the importance of faith and how faith is connected to preparation, and how you and I and Joey can be preparing for the storm that is coming to us, both the good and the bad, but especially the good. We want to be expecting the flood, excited for the flood, and willing to prepare as if the flood could come tomorrow. We just don't know. We're going to talk about that when we get right back.
Oh, my experience with Phoenix Casting has been pretty much legit. Like, ever since I started like modeling and acting, I've been coming here.
If you're an actor in Arizona, you need to know about the Daring Acting Studio, and you need to get here. They'll make you feel like you belong.
Where there's a will, there's a way. So I think it's great that you guys are continuing to innovate, not just resting back and saying, oh, this is just the way it is. And these days, because of virtual casting, some of these big projects that are on either coastline, now a lot of actors have the opportunities to at least submit.
It was so uplifting and encouraging, and it's such a refreshing sense to get as an actor, to be uplifted and encouraged and taught to do that to everybody that you're in a scene with.
We always recommend Daring Acting Studios, just because we know how important it is to hone your skills and hone your talent and always be practicing. And it's like a sport, you know, you have to go in and practice. You can't just jump into something and think you're going to be a star. So
What I learned about during this workshop is to be yourself and to not to be afraid to be yourself and be authentic.
And that's the one thing I gotta say about you guys, and you guys have been amazing. When our team submits, you know, it's like you guys give us really a great selection at audition. And so I think that's great, and I appreciate the opportunities you give our talent.
Do yourself a favor, come down to Deering to Phoenix Casting. You won't regret it. These guys are great, so accommodating. It's a fun, lively, always a great time. So no stress, come down and knock it out of the park. Thanks guys, I appreciate it.
Your lives will all be changed and you'll grow if you really learn to listen in this way.
Will you help me kill her?
You have to react to that from his point of view as honestly as possible.
Punch him in the face.
No, you don't know nothing. Come on.
As soon as you've solved the puzzle, the scene's over.
Hey! Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are talking about preparing for the storm, both the good storms and the bad storms, and the element of faith when it comes to preparation. That's what we're about to jump into now. So I believe you must exercise great faith and great patience in order to prepare for a storm. The issue is, once a storm is upon us, it's too late. Once the storm is here, it's too late to prepare. It's already come, and now you're just playing defense, and you're trying to put up some wood planks or something like that to protect your windows. And the truth is, you're going to endure some damage.
Yeah.
You got to expect the storm, prepare for the storm to the best of your ability. Now, there are going to be devastating storms that come. We all dealt with this this idea of whatever this pandemic was. this manufactured thing, this virus, this thing that attacked us, whatever it was, we all experienced it, and it was a storm. And you can see that there are so many companies that did not make it through that storm.
Yeah.
And it's sad, of course. We don't like to see companies go down ever. But it's also interesting how that refining process happens really quickly. Mm-hmm. When you get faced with this, all of a sudden, anything you were trying to hide, anything that was like below the surface, comes right up to the surface, and we see who can withstand that storm and who can't.
Yeah.
And I know that's a difficult reality, but it is true. And it's not like this is the first time. I mean, there have been many different like big storms that the world has gone through. And there are the tried and true companies that have made it through. Now what else is interesting is when certain companies didn't prepare for the inevitable storm of change, the storm of transition of some kind, those companies cease to be important. Okay?
Yeah.
AOL became non-important. MySpace became not important. These companies did not transition. They did not move with the tide, with the storm, with what was happening. Kodak did not move quick enough. Did not make the change. Now they're still around because they were so massive, but they had to change their business model. Mm-hmm. You don't buy a Kodak camera really anymore.
Nope.
Kodak they have so many patents that they're hidden within other companies, but they're not running the business the way they wish they were running the business.
Yeah, they're not dominating the market.
That's right, because they did not move to digital. That's what happened. They stuck with what was working, and they had the best film cameras, and they stuck with it. And the problem is they didn't see the storm of digital coming and go there hard and use all their resources to dig into this new thing, and they let their competition come up and squash them.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
A great point.
So, storm of change is always coming. The storm of goodness is always coming, and the storm of negativity is always coming, and we have to prepare for those things. However, it's difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. This is tough. Mm-hmm. To prepare for a storm that is not yet upon you, I believe that faith and preparation, they cannot exist without each other. Because why would I prepare for something that I don't believe is going to happen? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So why would you set goals if you don't believe the goals would come true? You wouldn't. Why would you do anything to prepare for a future when you don't think that future is going to come? Why would you prepare for a wedding if you don't believe you're going to get married? You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to have faith in that something in a future thing that is possible, or else you would never prepare for it. So it's time to start going in and going, okay, what are my belief systems? What do I have faith in? What do I believe is going to happen or could possibly happen? And then how do I prepare for that thing?
Yeah. And dumbed down, that's just what do I want my future to look like? What do I see my future as? Mm-hmm. Who do I want to be? What am I going to be doing? Who am I around?
Yeah.
Who's still in my life? You know, that's kind of the dumbed down version is who are you going to be in 10 years? And we talk about that a lot with goal setting.
I love that. And we can even simplify that, because you're right. Who are you going to be in 10 years? The only issue with that, and I believe in that. So thank you. The only issue with that is sometimes that stops people, because it's like 10 years, like, Leanne said something funny, that it was like a meme that one of her friends shared, which was like most people's 10-year plan.
Oh, I remember this.
And it's like 2 years, not sure what I'm going to do. 5 years, I don't really know. 7 years, I'm not too positive what I'll be doing. 10 years, I'll be a millionaire with a yacht. Like, everybody's got the 10-year of what they want to do, but no one's got the real gritty plan to get there.
Yeah.
Therefore, most people don't get there.
Exactly. Which is why your goal system, the one we use, is so important because it starts with what am I going to do today? What does that look like a month from now? What does that look like every month for the next year? Then the next 3 years, then the next 5 years, then the next 10 years, you know? And every little thing you change each month changes what it looks like in 10 years.
Amen, brother. The great Joe Namath says, first I prepare, then I have faith.
Woo! First I prepare, then I have faith. I love that. It's a good quote.
So you got to know where you want to go, and then you got to prepare, and then you got to have faith, and then you got to keep preparing. Here's what happens is people are going to think you're crazy. You're going to have naysayers. You're going to have people that are going, you're nuts. Think about Noah.
Yeah.
He's building the ark for the flood. And everyone's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm preparing for the flood. They're like, okay, have fun, buddy. And he's nuts for however long. I mean, how long would it take you to build an ark that could handle every animal, right? I mean,
a long time.
So the idea is a long time, like a really long time it took him. So his whole life, he's building this thing for this event that he has to just have faith is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And everyone thinks he's crazy until it starts to rain. And then maybe they still think he's crazy until they start to get flooded. And then he gets lifted while everyone else is trying to build a boat. It's too late to build a boat by that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got all the little creatures and animals with him.
Yeah. But the tremendous amount of faith that it takes to build an ark when there's sunny skies.
Yeah.
That's what's hard.
Mm-hmm.
This person, Paul Bear Bryant, says, it's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. So I've got the will to win, but do you have the will to prepare to win? There's an interesting difference there.
Yeah.
So it's like who wants to win? Well, we all want to win. But who's willing to do the work that it takes to prepare before you even start playing the game?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It's the will to prepare to win. That's what Michael Jordan had.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan, the second he's kicked out of the playoffs, is already so angry and using that energy, spiraling it into training and finding the will to prepare to win a year from now. He's already thinking about it. That dude, he actually started a summer league at his like ranch or something, invited the best of the best players to come to his ranch to practice so that he could watch how good they were, compete against them, get beat by them, and figure out all their moves, all their best moves, study them, and then beat them. Like that's what he was doing. He's admitted it now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So nuts.
Now he was making them better too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So they were making him
iron
better.
Sharpens iron.
He was making them better. And he knows that. But he knew he was going to go beyond that. So whatever they did with him made them better. But then what he did was he took what he did with them, which was making him better, and then he went even deeper. And he studied their moves, and he got so good that he could pretty much beat anybody.
Yeah. That's what JJ Watt does.
Yeah.
newest member of the Arizona Cardinals.
Go Cardinals!
It's very interesting because when I first found out we signed him, I couldn't believe it because it was kind of the same as DeAndre Hopkins, where I always liked DeAndre Hopkins. I thought he was the best in the league when he played for the Texans. So I would catch a Texans game in the playoffs, especially, just because I loved watching the dude play, and then he ends up on my team, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
But J.J. Watt gave this amazing speech at the end of the season that had to do with exactly that, and it was like flooring, and I was like, we could use a leadership like that on our team. But he just basically called out everybody for looking at the record, and he was like, the people in this city deserve more than what we're giving them. He was like, I don't care how bad we are roster wise. I know y'all aren't putting in the work because I'm in the weight room and none of you are there, you know? And I'm like, that's the type of player we want.
Yeah.
You know, and those are the rarities though. Siebert was even saying that. He was like, it's such a myth, these stories about how the players work every day and like do all that. He was like, that's the rarity. He was like, honestly, the media catches them doing like something silly and then they're like, oh, they're always in work. And he's like, no, that's the rare. He was like, there's a couple players that do that, but it's rare. The majority really just go on game day. They do the minimum because they're talented and that's what they do.
Well, what they've done is they did the maximum to get to where they are, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
They expended enough effort to get to where they are, and they just don't have the will to get the 1%, 0.5% better, because what they are and what they're doing is good enough to be in the league and good enough to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
And honestly, doing the extra 1% may not mean that they get any more money.
Yeah, that's true.
And there may not be any kind of payout, and they just don't have the drive to say, oh, well, I care to go from being really good to being great.
Yeah.
Or being great to being the best.
Well, and it goes back to setting goals. So that's the case for some, and some players, you know, maybe their goal was to get to the NFL, and then boom, you're in the NFL.
That's right.
You know, I got to work hard enough to stay here. I don't have to do any more. Like, there's no bigger league than that.
That's right. That's right. And it turns out that would have been a bad goal.
Yeah. Really bad goal.
According to our standards, to make it to the NFL, because then you make it, and then it's like, okay, now you've done that. Unfortunately, there's nowhere else to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so you better have already been moving your goalpost, and ideally that wouldn't have been the best goal anyway.
Yeah, because it's based on a destination.
Right. So the question now, we're going to leave everybody with this. The question is, what are you putting off? What are you putting off doing right now? There's some kind of preparation in different areas of life, and I want you to start thinking about, what if you knew the storm was coming? What would you do different? All right. So here's a storm. What if you knew mom or dad were going to die? You knew it 2 weeks from now. How would you act differently? How would you prepare differently? What if you knew you were going to die in 2 weeks? What would you do differently? How would you prepare differently? What if you knew that you were going to have your, like, the client of your dreams walk into your business? What would you do? How would you prepare? You knew they were going to walk in a week. 1 week from now, they're going to walk in. How do you prepare your space? What do you do? What if you knew 100% with absolute certainty that in 30 days you were going to get a flood of 1,000 extra people, extra clients, extra whatever, jobs, gigs coming your way? How would you prepare? What would you do, knowing that were true? So we've got both positive and negative storms, and we got to prepare for them. And now you're never going to be perfect. There's always going to be this balance, but you do want to be asking yourself this question, because there's always room to improve. And therefore, it becomes fun to start looking at the different little weaknesses to make your boat stronger, knowing that storms are going to come either way. They're going to come. Okay? Now, if you have this huge, massive storm in the middle of the ocean and you're trying to get someplace, if you're prepared, that storm, the power of that storm, rather than wrecking your boat, is going to propel you exponentially faster to the destination you want to go, or perhaps even a destination that's better than the one you were aiming at, because you knew how to harness the power of the storm. And though it put you off track, it didn't wreck you. And you were able to take the storm, move with the storm, and go. And it's like, man, now I'm in digital and I didn't see that coming. But now I'm there because I harnessed the storm and I went with it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Great point.
So those are the
Love
questions
that.
you want to ask yourself. Okay, that's your takeaway for today. We're going to continue on our series on patience this week. It's going to be all about slow patience. this entire week. All right, I'm excited for that. Today was Prepare for the Storm. Hope you all enjoyed it. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share this channel. Help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everyone. Rough.